This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, 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 shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Welcome to Wisdom from the Word. This is episode 50 entitled This Little Light of Mine. I'm sure many of you recognize that song from your childhood, or maybe you still sing it in church and Sunday school. There's the verses about hide it under a bushel, no. Don't let Satan puff it out. Let it shine till Jesus comes. We might say that's a nice little kid song. It's more than a little kid song. It's biblical. If you turn to Matthew chapter 5, we're going to look at this passage, verses 14 through 16, which says, Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. So you see there in verse 14, Jesus is saying that believers, Christians, are the light of the world. And just like the moon reflects the light of the sun, you and I as Christians are to reflect the light of the S-O-N, Jesus Christ. And it says you don't hide it under a bushel or some kind of a container or something that's going to dim the light. You put it up in a candlestick where everybody can see it. Then he goes on in verse 16 to say, let your light so shine before men. That word light in the Greek is the idea of phos, which means luminescence, a reflection, bright. And we're not talking about a literal light. We're talking about how we live. Our testimony, our actions. We're to let our light shine. We live in a very dark world because of sin. And if you look around at the culture today, it's getting worse and worse. So our light should be getting stronger. But sadly, sometimes as Christians, our light is not very bright. It's dim, which is not a good thing. Then it says, let your, that's personal, your light shine, or so shine. That's the idea, to radiate brilliantly or beam forth. In the Greek, it's the imperative, which means this is urgent. You really need to let this light shine. They need to be able to see a difference. Where are we shining it? Before men. That just basically means in front of other people. Okay, we're not shining our light, in a corner somewhere, although we are to brighten the corner, but we're to shine it before other people so that they can see that means they are evident to others. Good works. That word good there is the idea of lovely, beautiful, helpful, honest, useful. And then works, of course, are simply our deeds, our actions, our tasks. Now, why do we want to do that? Why do we want to shine our light? Well, first of all, so that men can see our good works. But then what? Say, good job, Leslie? No. That they may glorify your Father, which is in heaven. Glorify is that Greek word dakadzo, which means to give a proper opinion of. And of whom? Your Father. And where is he? He's in heaven. That's God. So we're to let our light shine the way we live before other people so that they can see the good works that we're doing, and then they will have the proper opinion of God. Wow, that's kind of convicting. When I think of some of the things that I do and the way I act sometimes, I'm not giving others the proper opinion of God, but that's what we're to do by shining our light. So I want to make this practical. Where or how can we let our light shine? I just picked a couple of things. First of all, we can let our light shine in our music. Ephesians 5:19 says, speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord. What kind of music do we listen to? Does it edify God? When people come by us and listen to what we're listening to, do they get a proper opinion of God? I'm not saying all secular music is wrong, but let's be honest, a lot of the music that's being promoted today, it's garbage. There's swearing in it, there's sexual overtones, or sometimes very blatant. That's not glorifying God. So what kind of music are we showing? Is it a light shining through that music? Think of some of the Christian songs that glorify God. Number 2, let your light shine in your speech. Psalm 19:14 says, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. We've talked a lot about words in podcasts, so I won't go into a lot of detail, but how I talk, the words that I say, when I say something, does that give people a proper opinion of Christ? Am I letting my light shine? Number 3, let your light shine in your appearance. 1 Samuel 16:7 says, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine, but people misuse that verse. They say, well, God sees the heart, so it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. No, that's not what it's saying. It says God knows the heart, but people can only see on the outside. So what does our appearance show to others? Does it give a proper opinion of God? I think we lack a lot of appropriateness today. What I would wear to play volleyball or football or other sports or to work in the yard, I'm not going to wear that same thing to go to church. It's just an appropriateness, and I think we lack that. I'm all for dressing down at times and relaxing. I like spending the day in my pajamas sometimes if that happens. But let's be honest, we're not going to go to church like that. We're not going to go to other places. We don't go to work like that unless you have a blue-collar job. There's an appropriateness. How do I look? Just my outward appearance. Does it draw others to Christ? Modesty, I think, is the key there. Number 4, let your light shine in your reading and your watching. Psalm 101:3 says, I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. What about the TV shows that we watch? What about the internet, the computer? What about what I'm reading? Am I letting my light shine? Or are there things that are not really good for a Christian to watch? I know over the years, I've kind of changed my opinion on some things, and there's shows that I used to watch I don't watch anymore. Not to say, ooh, me, but it's just, I don't need that. I don't need that swearing in my mind. I don't need certain sexual things to be, have some discernment and think, am I glorifying God by what I'm watching, by what I'm reading? So those are very, very practical things. Ask yourself this question. Do I glorify God in my music, in my speech, in my appearance, in my reading, my watching, other things that we do? You could throw in there too. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, whether therefore you eat or drink or whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of God. So do I glorify God? Secondly, is my Christian growth helped or hindered in these areas? I think that's a personal, and I want to say calculation, checking yourself out, analysis. And then am I a good example in these areas? When others look at me, an unsaved person or a new Christian, does that draw them closer to the Lord? Do they see Jesus? Is my light shining so that others will get a proper opinion of Christ? I'm a Christian. I'm supposed to be representing Him. So are you letting your light shine brighter and brighter before a lost world or before other Christians to help them? Because that's what we're to do. It's a command. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. I want to close by reading a chorus, one of the Bill Rice Ranch choruses. It says, let your light so shine before men that others may see Christ in you. Let your light so shine before men that others may see Christ in you. Glorify the Lord in all you do. Live for Him, for He lives in you. Let your light so shine before men that others may see Christ in you. Let your light so shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. May that be our prayer and our desire this week. God bless you. See you next time.